Robert S. Willett, office of the 12th Judicial District DA, 426 San Juan Avenue, Alamosa, Colorado, 81101. Jonathan Masters, P.O. Box 128, Horoso, Colorado, 81138. And it's an old phone number, 1424. Mr. Willett, this is my eyewitness testimony. June 1st, 2025, 21 p.m. Rio Grande Ranchos, Delaware Trail, Southwest Costilla County, Colorado. There's only 3 requirements in order to file an information for the prosecution. This looks perfect. This looks perfect. This looks almost identical to what they should be doing. I got the time. I got the date. Now, the name of the person, all I got is Noble Havens and Soto Cruz and Danny Sanchez. It's a friend of Soto Cruz. It's a friend of Danny Sanchez. It's a friend of Noble Havens. Noble Havens says I couldn't even buy a cow out there. I wasn't even allowed to buy a cow because they would steal it. Who is they? Don't know. Some criminal bandit, some posse, some right-wing sovereign movement, or some fucking criminal element. June 1st, 2025, 21 p.m. 2 white males intentionally and maliciously murdered my dog with a truck, an ordinary red pickup truck with a conspicuous green fender on the front passenger side. One was driving, the other was riding along in what looked to be a father-son duo. It was nearly dusk. It just started to lightly rain. Out of nowhere, these 2 fools were driving real fast, quickly, and up and around the remote intersection of Seminole and Delaware, revving their engine almost as if they were trying to provoke the primordial instincts of my dogs, which they did. My 2 otherwise gentle dogs noticed danger because danger was afoot. The only things my least trained from birth dogs ever barked at were coyotes and criminal bandits. After jettisoning onto Delaware from Seminole, the white male behind the wheel all of a sudden slows his vehicle down to a very slow speed to like 5 miles per hour. So he comes up around the hill real fast, comes up and around the curve on an intersection, so a 90-degree angle, and then slows up because he's fucking with me. He's felony menacing me. So 5 miles an hour first, real loud and fast, and then real slow and quiet. And of course, Tim and Tecumseh, my 2 dogs, are both less than 1 year old. They ran towards the truck. They're, gentle dogs, but the truck is driving like a fucking criminal. I shouted, "Get back here," to my dogs, but oddly enough, when I said, "Get back here," the driver in the truck stops his truck. The white male douchebag stops his truck, shifts his truck into reverse, and rolls back towards my driveway on Delaware Trail as if I was talking to him, as if I was talking and threatening to him. Hey, get back here. And if that piece of shit ever did want to have, some sort of charity event where they want to have some sort of fair mano-a-mano competition, I'd be okay with something like that. But this is a criminal piece of shit who doesn't believe in fighting fair. And he's murdering my little puppy because my puppy was actually protecting and serving me. It's a right-wing sovereign movement, racist, child abusers, anti-planning and zoning piles of shit. I had to pay a $200 permit to access my own driveway. 90% of the people on Seminole Trail are illegal. They didn't pay any permits. They didn't pay for any road access permit, no septic permit, no construction permit. But he went ahead and drove up my driveway. He didn't pay for the permit, but he drove into my driveway. In hindsight, for clearly criminal reasons. He's trying to fuck with me, trying to fuck with my dog, driving up and back and over here and there. Hey, my dogs, get back here. My dogs didn't come back here, but the white male that's trying to fuck with me, he stops, reverses, and then he drives one section, about 1 to 2 lengths of the red truck into my driveway. So the driver only pulls into the driveway about 1 to 2 lengths, sits there, thinks about driving over all those rocks that I had set out, changes his mind, backs back up into the driveway, and then drives off. And I still hadn't realized the danger. I think it's all kosher. He just lost. He's just driving around here and there. No, he's felony menacing me. He wants to murder my puppy. He wants to steal my stuff. He's a rapist. He's a thief. He's a violent fucking murdering piece of shit. Nobody says anything. After a few moments, the white man backs out of my driveway and then seemingly goes on his way. He drives just like Kelly Canty, right? With the way he was slowing down, and then drove on down to Jacqueline Mitchell, drove up to the intersection, turns back around. My God, it's almost as if the person that murdered my dog told Kelly Canty to drive precisely the same path. And I'm supposed to pretend that that's acceptable. You're allowed to try to jerk your wheel into my yard. You're allowed to act like you're going to drive into a person or into their pets or into their property. That's okay. Right. It's okay for Kelly Canty to felony menace me, but if I fire a couple warning shots, then all of a sudden everybody's going to shit a brick. And then I just found out that Kelly Canty didn't want any jail time. I'm being threatened with 3 years of jail under $100,000. And they've been fucking with me for over a year. I don't have my shotgun. I've been getting stalked the entire fucking time. So I have to deal with the court, and I got to deal with... And I wonder if they're actually tied to each other. I wonder if Michael Gonzalez knows and Kim Woods knows the person that's stalking me. Because if not, why are they so damn confident? Why are they so damn confident that they're going to get away with all these crimes? Dozens on top of dozens of crimes. This piece of shit is clearly fucking with me. Driving forward and back and backward and forward and forward and back. And then he drives to the end of the road and then he comes back. And he drives like a sick son of a bitch. Like a rapist. Like a fucking Xanis McDonald. Probably how he acted to his kids. And Samantha, don't ever forget about Samantha. They was J.C. Dugard. There was a man and a woman that raped J.C. Dugard in the backyard. That woman was going around taking pictures for him. He was a pervert, yeah, but she supported him and backed him up and helped him every bit of the way. So don't forget about Samantha McDonald when you all talk about Xanis. And for 4 or 5 years, and he's got an open warrant. For 4 or 5 years, had an open warrant. And Troy's in, and how many other people? Here's all the people that were living right next to Xanis McDonald. Jacqueline Mitchell. Jacqueline Mitchell's 20-something-year-old son, Phil Greeny. Hiram Richardson. That Vallejo guy. I didn't write that Vallejo guy. He didn't run over my dog, but Phil Greeny, Troy Zinn, Kevin Zinn, Hiram Richardson, Robert Pickerel, Robert Roman, James A. Bax, Eunice Bowman, Samuel Lee Jepson, Cynthia Rose Lee, Kenny Capon, Kevin Bertini, and Turtle. None of them knew shit. I bet you they weren't driving over people's pets. I bet they weren't doing drive-bys. I bet they weren't doing spotlighting and stop and goes. I bet you they weren't doing harassing and felony menacing and felony animal cruelty. I bet you they didn't do any of that. I bet you they were nice as hell to motherfucking Samantha and Xanis. Because it's been a while since I actually read this, but this is clear as day. There's no way a person could just make up all this shit. And it's so precise. And then when you're sitting there reading it, it's like, oh, okay. Well, he's trying to fucking provoke the dog to murder him. That's what he's trying to do. And then he tried to fucking do it again. Then he did it again. And then he's sitting there trying to provoke him. Well, he wants to fucking fist fight him because he wants to put his hands on dude. Well, he wants to steal his fucking stuff. And he wants to, he's a fucking nosy ass fucking creepy motherfucker. And so he wants to know what kind of, wife and kids, dude has got in the house. And he wants to take the property and he wants to take... I don't want you motherfuckers around my family. I don't want you around my wife and kids. You and me are not the fucking same. And here I'm still putting my goodness on dude, even though he's acting a fucking fool. I know what happens now, at the end. So let's keep on going. The white middle-aged male drives further down Delaware Trail, only to the next house, the next driveway, which is like 2,000 feet away. The white middle-aged male pulls into Jacqueline Mitchell's driveway. So he knows Jacqueline Mitchell, and he sits for a while, and then the middle-aged male pulls his truck out. You're not going to pull in people's driveway like that unless you know the person. Did they talk to him? Did they have a conversation? And then he pulls back out, and now he's pointed back towards me. Perhaps the white middle-aged man needed to show his younger white male companion how terrible he can be. The red truck is now once again crawling back towards me on Delaware Trail. There's a tiny bunny hill, so you can't see it momentarily, but you can pretty much see all of Delaware Trail all the way down. So he's there, bop, 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 kind of gets underneath the thing, don't really see him, but can hear him coming slowly, and then he's up in front of my property. Driving slowly, creepily, criminally. I'm not sure what's about to happen. My 2 dogs were out by the road at the time, and the red truck, driving 5 miles an hour slower, rolls to about midway in front of my property and just about nearly stops. Apparently he waited until Tecumseh, the first dog I ever owned, to walk within hitting distance. And once he was within hitting distance, once Tecumseh stood close enough to the white male floors his engine, swerves into my dog, hitting my dog, crack! Officer Noblehaven saw the dirt tracks that had swerved. Officer Noblehaven saw the dirt tracks had swerved, meaning they could have kept going straight. They're still on the road, but it was a deliberate swerve. I hear a loud pop, a loud crack, I imagine the worst. Somehow Tecumseh stood right back up. He squeaked out a noise like something was wrong. As Tecumseh was running towards me, I was looking at his limbs to see if he got his legs ran over, but nothing. He was able to run the 100, 300 feet to me. I'm in the middle of the house working on my porch. Never had a safe house, never had a dog. I just wanted to get a job and raise a family. Now I got some right-wing piece of shit terrorist motherfucker. Some Xanis McDonald piece of shit that just murdered my dog by the house from the road. He had a broken neck. With a broken neck, he ran all the way to me. He could be ornery, but when something was wrong, he ran straight to me. He loved me, and on June 1st, 2020, he would die for me on that night. Melanie and Chloe, them pieces of shit made sure Tecumseh never listened to me. So when I told them to get back, they should have listened to that. But they were being playful, and their instincts were on fire. Something was afoot. Something was... Tecumseh is the best person I've ever known. Tecumseh and Shakti are the 2 best people I've ever known in my entire life. People are just fucking pieces of shit. They're just such awful pieces of shit. Once Tecumseh finally gets to me, he opens his mouth and it's all bloody. And then Tecumseh collapses. And I imagine the worst. I gently put him on a couch cushion that just so happened to be laying in the yard, and I kept my hand on him. And I asked Tech if he could fight this, or if this was it. And his eyes were off into the distance in pain, confused and dying. For the first time I ever known Tecumseh, he seemed scared. Maybe bewildered is a better word, because Tecumseh was only a few months old. He did not know fear. He was too young and innocent to know fear. I poured a little bit of cold water on him to see if that would put a little shock into his system, but nothing. He didn't react to it at all. Whatever Tecumseh was going through was too difficult to bear. I pulled the dog collar off of him and I threw it, and I'm like, you don't need this anymore. I kept the chain on him. I made sure he took the shits where he was supposed to take the shits. I took care of him and I loved him. And he loved me back. And that's why he needed to be murdered by Soto Cruz and Danny Sanchez and Noble Havens, the friend of Noble Havens and Danny Cruz and Danny Sanchez and Soto, those fucking assholes. It's their friend. It's a felon. They're covering up his fucking felony fucking behavior. And after this happened, more shit kept on happening. Well, hell, dude don't even have police protection. We can do whatever we want. Yeah, I bet you that's what Xanis and fucking Samantha thought too. Whatever Tech was going through is too difficult to bear. I pulled the dog collar off of it and threw it. You don't need this anymore. Then I just held on to him. He was dying. He was fading fast. I held on to Tech and I just cried for him. I hugged him, held him tightly with his little brown and white furry head against my cheek while he was in pain and suffering, confused, bewildered. And I was just trying to make him pass on to the next side as gently as possible. He was trying desperately to get his throat to work again, and then finally his candlelight extinguished. Tecumseh was dead. His eyes and his body was frozen into place and foam came out of his mouth. The violence took less than 1 second, the whole incident less than 1 minute, and once the white man drove over Tecumseh's neck after the hit and run, Tecumseh was dead in less than 30 seconds. Then Mr. Busybody, Mr. Independent didn't move anymore. The eyes of Tecumseh were frozen, confused, strained, and it looked like his light and his consciousness was going away for good, and he knew it. And I don't know why any of this happened. I don't know why the incident happened. I think it's because white people hate love and they're racist and they're child abusers and they're against planning and zoning. I came in legally. They didn't know who I was. They wanted to get to know who I was. They heard Jacqueline Mitchell making up a bunch of fucking lies. She tried to murder my dog fucking dozens of times. And one time when she was driving like a dickhead, I had let one of them chase after her. There was another argument by the river. Piece of shit said he was going to murder my dog. Maybe it was him. Was that Bertini? Was that Kevin Bertini, or was that the Green Blazer bitch? Or was that James Bax, Eunice Bowman? It's probably that Green Blazer bitch. It was the Green Blazer was down there. There's 3 people probably doing some fucking meth. So those are the two. There's only 2 things that had happened, but neither one of them makes any sense. I like to walk Tecumseh out by the Rio Grande. There's even like a dead cow that was over there. And I was going to say, hey, that's all I was trying to do, but they started being pieces of shit right off the bat, thinking I was trying to get in their business. I didn't give a fuck about what you guys were doing, but you threatened to murder my dog, and then I threatened to, kill their dogs just to show how stupid and crazy and over the top they were being. I was just going for a walk over here, man. What did you need to threaten my dog for like that? And then I guess they're killer pieces of shit, right? Bunch of child abusing, fucking anti-planning and zoning, criminal, fucking racist piles of shit. I guess when they declare that they're going to murder your fucking puppy, you better watch the fuck out, because that's who Costilla County is. That's who Noble Havens is, and his buddies, and Soto Cruz, and Danny Sanchez. The driver is guilty of animal cruelty, aggravated animal cruelty, felony menacing, harassment, criminal mischief. CRS 184501, 189202. Noble Havens was kind of cordial, but he was also argumentative, and he didn't take me serious. Maybe he was having a bad day. Maybe he doesn't like confrontation. Maybe he didn't feel like arresting anybody that day. I don't know, but I do know that generally speaking, the victims who call the police are supposed to be believed. Kelly Canty was believed, but Noble Havens wasn't going to believe me. Noble Havens was going to fuck with me. Then Noble Havens was going to let Robert Pickerel and Kenny Capin and Phil Greeny and who the fuck else ever fuck with me. They weren't going to give me any police protection whatsoever. Ted Rail had actually told me that. Ain't nobody going to protect you. Tecumseh did. But apparently y'all don't have any respect for Tecumseh. Y'all love your Columbuses, but you don't care about your native indigenous. Noble Havens immediately dismissed any animal cruelty charges because the dog was in the road. Arguing rarely works, I moved on and asked him about the personal terrorism, and he said it would be a charge of harassment. It was felony menacing, harassing. It was motherfucking aggravated animal cruelty. Well, you already admitted he was in the middle of the road. That doesn't mean you get a murder. I've seen many dogs in the middle of the road, and I didn't turn my car and swerve over and fucking murder the shit out of them. Because I'm not a piece of shit. I don't fucking go around. I'm not like you pieces of shit. If anything, they seemed emboldened. The bandits weren't deterred by the Costilla County Sheriff's Office in the slightest. And more menacing and harassment spotlighting would happen after this June 1st, 2020 crime. And so far, the chief judge, the DA investigator, 2 deputies, the clerk, they got this entire big system that if they cared about people, the truth, justice, and American way, they could use the system for good. But they didn't use the system for good. They used it for evil, and they've been protecting the felons ever since. I don't trust anything that goes on in the Costilla County in the San Luis. I don't trust anything that goes on in San Luis. They would arrest J.C. Dugard. They would arrest Anne Frank. They would arrest Frederick Douglass. They would arrest Emily Canales. They would arrest the victim. They don't care about victims' rights. It's criminal mischief because it's property damage. I put time and money into Tecumseh, but Tecumseh was a life, and he was my buddy, and really he loved me, and I put a lot of time, and he protected my property when I was away. He actually protected and served. I paid for the permits. I paid for the septic permits. I paid for the road access fee. I paid for the, but none of that mattered. I wasn't able to build anything because I had pieces of shit that's fucking harassing me day in and day out. And why are they doing that? Because they want to steal my stuff. They want to take my things. And then one of the cops had said, just don't let them make them mad. Getting mad isn't a crime. The crime is the crime. And the fact that you motherfuckers don't get pissed off at crimes just shows me that you're not cops. At no point in time did any one of them want to be police officers. I'll take it back. There's a couple times they acted like cops, and it actually helped. But for the most part, the criminal pieces of shit tricked the Costilla County sheriffs like they were Keystone cops, like they were 911, Reno 911, like they're the biggest dumb fucks ever. Troy Zinn, Kenny Capin, Robert Pickerel, Phil Greeny, they all are treating the fucking Costilla County Sheriff's Office like they're a bunch of dumb motherfucking piles of shit. Harassing me over and over again, hiding off to the side when they come out, and then when they leave, driving back around. I'm not fooled by the crimes. You all are fooled by the crimes. You know who did it. You're the one covering it up. He was a life. It's animal cruelty. Someone may not like my face or whatever, but Tecumseh never did anything to anybody for any reason. Tecumseh was a good, innocent dog. He didn't deserve to be murdered like that, and neither did I. I didn't do anything. One other thing I want to mention before I end this complaint, 2 days prior to the incident, Nick Villela, a neighbor a few blocks down off of Seminole Road, had told me 2 white men in a white truck had driven to his front door and threatened him, and they broke his car window like this. They just reached in a little bit of, and I suspect that the 2 incidents were related. Why is Nick Villela, I think he called me, I think he drove up to my house and told me about this. And basically he's saying if there's a white truck, and I asked him when I asked if they were white, he backed off. Because I guess we're going to protect fucking Caucasian criminals no matter what. But I think they were 2 white people in a white truck. And he was telling me about it because if 2 white people in a white truck come to fuck with me, then I better, watch out. But Nick Villela also had fucked with me, saying that there was a dog in the middle of the fucking road or some shit while Hiram Richardson had drove by. But there was about a week or 2 when me and Nick Villela were friends. We had shot dogs a couple times, and when my dog ran off, I'd asked him if he had seen it, and he actually genuinely seemed concerned. But that's Dear Robert S. Willett. Dear Robert S. Willett, you ignored a major fucking crime that happened against me in the very beginning. You got this entire fucking judicial system, and you failed to use it. My guess is because you're friends with the piece of shit that did that to me. The piece of shit that clearly was a criminal fucking pile of shit. You don't have probable cause of a crime? Are you stupid as shit? This motherfucking Michael Gonzalez is trying to fuck me over without even getting an indictment from a grand jury. He's trying to get me to agree to a fucking a felony fucking charge. Stupid ass piece of shit, motherfucking piece of shit. I wonder how many good people he fucks over. I bet that's all he does is fucks over good people. When I told him about the drive-by shooting, he didn't say, are you going to file a complaint? Are you going to do anything about it? He wasn't even remotely concerned about the crime. Attempted murder, Michael Gonzalez doesn't give a shit if there's an attempted murder. That's not a crime to Michael Gonzalez. He said, well, you got to give me a name. So I guess when Andre Psycho Barrows, when he was doing his thing and the people didn't know his name, I guess that's clever, huh? He's on the side of criminals. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. If I'm the Chief Justice and I hear about crimes happening, I don't even give a damn if it's, all the way in Rio Grande, I don't care if it's like really super far away from San Luis. I would give a damn about any injustice that happened anywhere in the valley, especially major fucking crimes, especially major violence, rape, stealing, murder, especially major fucking crimes, torture, abuse, major fucking crimes. But apparently me and Danny Sanchez and Soto Cruz and Robert Pickerel, we're different. We are different. That's for goddamn sure. Noble Havens knows who did it. And he wouldn't even tell me the name of it. You know, if he didn't think charges would be filed, okay, that's his opinion. He's too scared to arrest the person who did it. But why wouldn't he let me know so I could file a civil lawsuit on the guy? Why would he keep the information to himself? He's obstructing justice. He's burying this. He is covering up a felony. He is aiding and abetting a felon. And I have a right to arrest a person. So let's not assume anything. Troy Zinn is my main suspect, but I got a whole list of suspects. And when I find out who did it, I witnessed the crime, so I get to go arrest that person. That's CRS, the citizen's arrest. If you witness the crime happening, you get to arrest that person. And so the reason why they won't tell me is because they are protecting a criminal. And I wonder how many more other criminals they protect. Anyways. And then Robert Willett's trying to run for office again. He's trying to come back. Motherfucker didn't give a shit fucking 3 years ago. And victims' rights. He didn't care about victims' rights at all. He didn't give a flying fuck about victims' rights. Why the fuck would we bring Robert Willett back? Mr. I don't give a shit about victims' rights. Fuck Robert Willett.